My dad begged me not to come over. Now I know he was trying to save my life. My father has always been a ghost in his own house. For most of my life, he was more of a concept than a person. A hollow-eyed man who moved through rooms without ever seeming to occupy them. Our time together was mandated by a court-ordered parenting plan, scheduled blocks of time that felt more like appointments than family. So when he called me last Tuesday, it wasn't the call itself that was strange, but the sound of his voice. It was frayed, stretched thin over the line, a wire about to snap. "Don't come this week," he said. There was a weird wet sound to his breathing, like he'd just run a marathon. "Dad, are you okay? You sound... Just stay with your mother. Don't come over. Do you understand me, Kaylin?" His voice cracked on my name. In the background, I heard the sharp clatter of glass hitting a tile floor. What was that? Is someone there? My own voice was starting to shake. "Don't come, Kaylin," he repeated, the words almost a whisper. "Please." He hung up. The dial tone buzzed in my ear, loud and empty. I told my mum, and she got that pinched look around her eyes she always gets when she has to think about him for more than a minute. A few days of silence passed, each one heavier than the last. I tried calling. The first time, it rang and rang before clicking over to his generic automated voicemail. The second and third times, it didn't even ring. Straight to the recording. A cold knot formed in my stomach. His house is only a 20-minute drive away. Through winding country roads I could navigate with my eyes closed. I pulled my car up his long gravel driveway and killed the engine. The place was still. Too still. All the curtains were drawn tight, something he never did. He liked the light. I walked up the porch steps, the wood groaning under my feet. I knocked. The sound echoed, but nothing happened. I knocked again, harder this time. "Dad? It's me. I'm just checking on you." Silence. I crept to the living room window, pressing my face against the cool glass and cupping my hands to block the glare. Through a small gap in the curtains I could see a slice of the room. And I saw him. He was standing in the middle of the floor holding a shotgun. It wasn't pointed at anything, just held at a low ready, his knuckles white. His eyes weren't lifeless anymore. They were wide, darting back and forth, scanning the empty corners of his own home. My shadow shifting in the window must have caught his eye. His head snapped towards me. For a terrifying second, his eyes didn't register who I was. They were the eyes of a cornered animal. The shotgun started to lift. Then the recognition hit him, and the fear in his face was immediately replaced by a different kind of horror. The front door was wrenched open so violently it slammed against the wall. Before I could say a word, his hand shot out, grabbing my arm in a bruising grip and yanking me inside. The door slammed shut behind me, and I heard the heavy crank of the deadbolt. "What the hell are you doing here?" he hissed, the shotgun still in his other hand. The house smelled of stale coffee and gun oil. "I told you not to come. It isn't safe. What's going on? Why do you have a gun?" My heart was hammering against my ribs. "You need to leave. Right now. Get in your car and go back to your mother's and don't stop." He tried to steer me back towards the door, but I planted my feet. "Not until you tell me what's happening." He just stared at me, his jaw working silently. It was like watching a dam of secrets trying to hold back a flood. Finally, it broke. With a sigh that sounded like it was ripped from his soul, he lowered the gun. He reached into the back pocket of his jeans and pulled out a crumpled, greasy piece of paper. He unfolded it and held it out for me to read. It wasn't a letter. It was a photograph. A picture of me walking to my car in the parking lot after work. It was taken from a distance, but it was unmistakably me. Scrawled across the bottom in thick red marker were 5 words. "We know where she sleeps, Rorik. Rorik." My dad's name. A cold wave washed over me, a physical chill that had nothing to do with the air in the room. The world seemed to shrink down to that single, terrifying sentence. I was the reason for the drawn curtains, the shotgun, the fear in my father's eyes. Just as the reality of the threat began to sink in, a new sound cut through the silence. The crunch of tires on the gravel driveway. My dad's head snapped towards the window. He swore, a low, vicious sound. We both peered through the gap in the curtains. A beat-up Ford Ranger was pulling up to the large, detached workshop he'd built by hand. A man I recognized as one of his old work buddies, a guy named Sal, hopped out and started pulling power tools from the truck bed. "What is he doing?" my dad growled, panic flaring in his eyes again. He threw the deadbolt and ran out onto the porch. "Sal, get out of here. Now's not a good time." But Sal just waved him off, a big, dumb grin on his face. "Just drop in your stuff back. Rorik won't be a minute." He seemed bizarrely insistent, ignoring my dad's frantic waving. As they started to argue, another vehicle appeared at the end of the driveway. A bright red Honda. It didn't speed, just rolled in slowly, deliberately, its engine a low hum. It stopped, perfectly blocking Sal's truck. 3 doors opened at once. 3 men got out. They moved with a calm, predatory efficiency that made the hair on my arm stand up. And as they raised their hands, I saw the glint of metal. The world exploded in a cacophony of noise. Gunshots. Not the single boom of a hunting rifle, but the sharp, percussive pops of handguns, one after another. I saw the wood splinter on the side of the workshop near my dad's head. He and Sal dove for cover. Without a second thought, I scrambled away from the window, dropping to the floor and crawling on my hands and knees. The living room was a wall of glass. A death trap. My only thought was his bedroom, at the back of the house. I made it, slamming the hollow core door behind me and fumbling with the flimsy lock on the knob. The gunshots were still going, a relentless, deafening rhythm. My whole body was shaking. I needed to call for help. The police. My mum. Anyone. My hand dove into my pocket for my phone. It wasn't there. A fresh wave of ice-cold dread washed over me, even worse than before. It was on the passenger seat of my car. My car, parked right in the middle of the driveway between the house and the gunfire. My dad. He had his phone, but he was out there. He was out there with them.